Kenyan middle distance runner Faith Kipyegon is an Olympic champion and the second woman in history to win the championships back-to-back. Recently, Kipyegon came very close to setting the world record for the fastest women's 15,000 meter in the history of the sport. You will not believe just how close she came. Want to know how close she came to running the fastest 15,000 meter run in history? Keep watching to find out. First off, let's talk about who Faith Kipyegon is. Faith Kipyegon started running in the public eye at a very young age. She ran in the World Cross Country Championships in 2010 when she was only 16 years old. In that race, Kipyegon would go on to be placed in fourth individually, but her team of under-20s would go on to win the gold medal. Just 1 year later, at the 2011 Cross Country Championships, Kipyegon did even better, winning the gold medal for herself and earning the silver medal with her team. She continued to run and win awards until 28. Kipyegon took a 12-month break after giving birth to her first child. When she returned in 2019, she won the Prefontaine Classic Palo Alto with a time of just under 4 minutes. 2 years prior to her break, Kipyegon would run at the 2016 Olympics at just 26 years of age. This was her first Olympic medal, but it wouldn't be the last. 4 years later, at the 2020 Olympics, Kipyegon brought home her second Olympic win, making her the first woman to win Olympic medals back-to-back. Before we talk about Kipyegon's almost record, let's talk about the history of the 15,000 meter run. 4 years before the beginning of the 20th century, the Olympics became a thing, with the first game being held in Athens. In the 128 years since the Olympics first came around, players and rules have changed drastically. While the men's 15,000 meter event has been around since 1896, the women's 15,000 meter race first came around the year 1972. From the Soviet Union, Lyudmila Bragina was the first to win the gold medal in the same year. In 1972, she set the record for the 15,000 meter race. Her record was set at 4 minutes and 6.9 seconds. In 2015, Ethiopian runner Genzebe Dibaba set a record that has not yet been beaten. She finished the 15,000 meter run in only 3 minutes and 50.7 seconds. Of the many records that have been set, one of the most impressive is the one Kipyegon set by winning 2 medals back-to-back in the 50 years since women were introduced into the world of the 1,500-mile run. Only twice has somebody won 2 medals back-to-back. Before Kipyegon, Sebastian Coe won the medal in 1984. Moving on, we're going to talk about Faith Kipyegon's most recent race and how she almost beat the record. The current record for the fastest time ever achieved in the 1,500 meter race is currently held by Ethiopian runner Genzebe Dibaba. She set the record back in 2015 at the Barcelona Estadi Joan Serrahima Stadium. She achieved the time of 3 minutes and 50.7 seconds. The fastest time was previously set at 3 minutes and 0.46 seconds by Q Yungsha in 1927, almost 20 years before Dibaba set the score. On August 9, 2022, Q Yungsha had the second fastest time. Her time would be bet on the 10th day of August when Faith Kipyegon finished the 15,000 meter run in 3 minutes and 50.37 seconds. She came incredibly close to having the fastest time. Kipyegon missed the record by a mere 0.37 seconds. She would have beat the previous fastest time at the same place that it was set 7 years prior, when she already had one of the fastest times with 3 minutes and 51.7 seconds. Getting the record would have helped her accomplish the one thing she hadn't already. Despite not setting the record, Kipyegon did come out victorious after the race was finished. Speaking of the Olympic Championships, let's take a look at what we know about the 2024 Olympics. The Olympics are scheduled for one game every 4 years, with the last one being held in 2020. We're due for another in 2 years. The first of the Olympic Games Paris Games will take place on the 26th of July to the 11th of August, while the Paralympic Games will take place starting on the 28th of August and will end on the 8th of September. But the football and rugby will begin 2 days before the ceremony, on the 24th. Before the 2024 Olympics, London was the only city to have hosted the Olympics 3 times. But now, Paris will join London on the short list. There will also be a bit of history set by the 2024 Olympics as well. The previous ceremonies have been held in a stadium, in whatever the city games were in. This time around, it will be done on the Seine, which is a river which crosses the center of Paris. It's a great time for Paris to host the Olympics in 2024. The first time that Paris ever hosted the Olympics was 1924, which will celebrate its 100th year anniversary. Since we're on the topic of the Olympics, let's talk about its history. While the modern Olympics we all know and watch with the utmost interest started in 1896, the Olympics were around for much longer than that. For a bit, that is. The Olympics started in Olympia, Greece, in the year 776 BC. They ran until 393, and after that would not make a return for another 1,503 years. In the year 1896, 1986 after Baron Pierre de Coubertin had the idea to bring them back. This idea led him to found the International Olympic Committee in 1894. Many things have changed since the Games first started over 100 years ago. For one, there were no Winter Olympic Games. They didn't come until 28 years later after the first Olympic game in 1924. Likewise, Paralympics also were not introduced until the 20th century. Sir Ludwig Guttmann organized a competition for British soldiers who fought in World War II and received spinal cord injuries. Shortly after these games, in 1960, ever since 1960, shortly after the Olympic Games finish up, the Paralympics will follow. In the year 1989, the International Paralympic Committee was founded in Germany with the purpose of governing the Paralympic Games. Now, let's discuss what happened at the Monaco Diamond League 2020. The Monaco Diamond was the 10th stop of the 2020 Diamond League season, while Kipyegon almost setting the record for the fastest women's time on the 1500-meter dash was a major headline from the event. There were many other things that happened worthy of attention. For starters, Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce continued on with her winning run, finishing the 100-meter dash with a time of 10.62. In the next race, Shawnee Miller-Uibo won first place in the 400-meter dash. Natoya Gould received first place in the 800-meter dash. And finally, Faith Kipyegon was victorious in the 1500-meter dash. Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce is currently in the lead for the title of the reigning world 100-meter champion with 5 medals. She has 2 gold and 3 silver. Fraser-Pryce has also had her fair share of making history. This year at the same event, Kipyegon almost set a new high score. Fraser-Pryce set history as the first woman to run a time that is less than 10.7, not once, but 6 times within just one season. The time that she finished with to set the record was 10.62, 0.10 seconds less than she needed. Finally, let's talk about everything related to the world of Olympic runners. On the 26th of August, news came out regarding the heavily anticipated Switzerland Diamond League run. It was announced through an Instagram post on Fraser-Pryce's account just minutes before the race that she would not be able to perform in the race. She said that she had been feeling discomfort in her hamstrings. She said that she was very disappointed that she would not be able to compete in the race, but despite her best attempts, the discomfort was simply too much for her to race with. Fraser told fans that while things don't always go as they are planned, she would not risk going on with the discomfort, saying that the last thing she would want to do was injure herself more. Fraser-Pryce said that she'll be getting the proper treatment for the injury. As of now, it seems like it's just discomfort, and that Fraser-Pryce is taking all the necessary precautions. Nevertheless, fans were still disappointed that she wouldn't be racing after all. It was going to be her first race against Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shericka Jackson. It would be the first time they raced together since their race in Eugene, Oregon. The Olympics are coming up quite quickly, with less than 2 years to go. People are already placing their bets on who they think will win, and who will perform not so great. Who do you think will do good, and who will do not so good? Let us know down below.